We live in a cruel world. Groceries are more expensive than ever, every shoe gets swiped by resellers to then go through a 400% markup, John Jones gets to duck Tom Aspinall, thousands of kids are dying in the Middle East, and you're the bad guy if you call it out. But another tragedy that's going under the radar is the fact that Furiosa is going to make less money in the box office than Gladiator 2. Furiosa was an amazing movie, and it was perfect for theaters. I don't give a shit, I will die on this hill. And it would be one thing if Gladiator 2 was a good movie, but it's just not, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys and act like it's good. I love the original Gladiator, I watched it a long time ago when I was a kid with my brother, and I love the battle sequences, how beautifully shot the movie was, and it had a stoic badass to top it all off. I watched Gladiator again in preparation for Gladiator 2, and yeah, the movie definitely shows its age in some areas with the CGI, but I still love this movie. There are also so many shots in this movie that are just badass, and the best part of Gladiator 2 is the intro, where they show some sequences from the first movie in an animation style. Now I won't just shit on Gladiator 2 without giving it some praise. The cast does a good job overall, and the CGI is a massive improvement over Gladiator 1. But then again, it's 24 years newer, so you would hope that the CGI is better. And just because it looks better doesn't mean it is better. Take Fallout 4 for example, it looks way better than Fallout New Vegas, but it lacks one primary thing: soul. The same can be said for Gladiator 2, where it feels like it lacks its own identity, and it tries way too hard to tie itself to the first installment. The movie constantly quotes Gladiator 1, and the fact that Lucius is the son of Maximus feels like a forced Hollywood cop-out. I would have preferred it if the movie was set in a different Rome altogether, without any of the characters carrying over from the first movie, and I think the majority of you would say the same thing. The characters in Gladiator 1 feel complete, and we didn't need anything more from them. But oh well, it's Hollywood, and we can't leave good things alone. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not trying to sound morbid, but it does seem like Ridley Scott made this movie to set up his family with as much generational wealth as he can. Just like Mike Tyson with the Jake Paul fight, and honestly, I can totally respect that from a practical perspective. Now, does Gladiator 2 have some good sequences? Yes, it does. I enjoyed the fight between Lucius and Acacius, and the beginning battle scene was pretty cool. The issue with Gladiator 2 primarily lies in the writing. There are some glaringly obvious plot holes. Lucius or Hanno, whatever you want to call him, experiences the death of his wife early on in the movie, but then as soon as he wakes up from defeat and is with the rest of the Numidians, he's cracking jokes with the boys, and it seems like he's already moved on from his loss. I guess the characters are so forgettable that even Lucius forgets his wife. This is completely different from Maximus in the first movie, who suffers from his grief throughout the entire film, and it serves as his primary drive to get revenge. It seems like Lucius forgets about his wife almost immediately. Let's get all of the dumb writing mistakes out of the way while we're at it. I find it hard to believe that during the water fight scene, no one notices Lucius firing an arrow at the Emperor. Lucius is the most popular gladiator by far, and he's the center attraction. But no one is watching him during this battle? That's hard to believe, but in the chaos of the boats colliding, I guess I can kind of forgive it. Here's what I can't forgive though. Lucilla gets caught conspiring against the emperors, literally trying to assassinate them, but then she has free reign to visit Lucius in his cell to give him a ring so he has the plot device to convince the army in Ostia to support him. How is she allowed to go around as she pleases after literally getting caught in a plot to kill the emperors? Another issue happens toward the end of the movie, and that is that Lucius incites the takeover of Rome, and when he's riding to catch up with Macrinus, none of the Roman army tries to stop him. They just let him go along, and they don't even bother trying to stop him. And the worst part about this movie is that it screws the legacy of Maximus. Maximus's dying words include that Lucius is safe now, but clearly Lucius wasn't safe because Lucilla sends him off anyway, and then she ends up losing contact with him. So Maximus's sacrifice literally means nothing. If Commodus were alive, she would have done the same thing. Maximus fought to deliver Rome from its corrupt leaders to better leadership in Lucilla and Gracchus, but apparently Maximus' sacrifice was basically for nothing since the twin emperors got power and became evil just like Commodus. And this is another area of the movie that I wish was expanded. The twin emperors don't really have a lot of lore, and their evil side is not shown that well. We are told they are bad and they want to hold Pedro Pascal's character hostage until he conquers more land. But besides that, we don't really see them doing that much that is completely wrong and that would make them hated. With Commodus, we saw his demeanor and how he treated the Senate and how he wants to overthrow everyone. And we learn that he's funding everything by selling the grain reserves of Rome. This guy literally killed his own father for power, so we know why he's evil and why people don't like him. The twin emperors don't get this level of expansion, and I really wish they added more to their characters, since the actors did a great job of playing them, and because they seem genuinely interesting. How did they get into power? Why are they so evil and hated? I wish these areas were expanded, and this would add the shock factor and necessary oomph that's needed when Caracalla kills Geta. Also, if you can't tell, I can't remember how to pronounce these characters' names, that's how forgettable this movie is. Gladiator 2 is also not a short movie by any means, so it has the space to add this lore. This is another thing I will say, Gladiator 2 is not a short movie, and you feel every minute of the film, and not in a good way. It's long, and that's not necessarily the problem, since the first movie is even longer. But the issue lies in the writing, and nothing in the film feels important enough to truly grip the audience. The movie lacks soul, and it's constantly quoting the first movie to get you to feel something, but it falls apart since nostalgia can only take you so far. I'm sick of the idea of we need a better Rome, strength and honor are what matter, and power is often oppressive. We need some new ideas that present new thematic elements, and this is where Gladiator 2 completely drops the ball. The movie's best parts also feel underdeveloped, like Macrinus leading the brothers to betray each other, and I really wish the movie focused a lot more on Macrinus and his plans to usurp power in Rome. Denzel Washington does a great job, and I honestly think the movie would be better off if it dropped the Gladiator name altogether and just focused on the politics of Macrinus leading the twin emperors to hate each other so that he can have the power to himself. The hero narrative of Lucius feels like a forced addition to the story to keep it in the Gladiator universe. So there's my rant on Gladiator 2, an unnecessary sequel that ties itself way too closely to the first movie. Is it completely horrible? No, but it's not very good, and I won't remember this movie in a week. I'll end with this. We wonder why OnlyFans creators and sneaker resellers are ruining society. But then we see movies like Gladiator 2 making more money than Furiosa, and it's no wonder why we were banished out of paradise.